MacVoices Holiday Gift Guide number 3, Part 1. This is MacVoices. This edition of MacVoices is supported by MacVoices Live, our weekly live panel discussion of what is going on in the Apple space, as well as the larger tech world, and how it is impacting you. Join us live at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, or whatever time that is wherever you are, at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV, and participate in the chat, or catch the edited and segmented versions of the show on the regular MacVoices channels and feeds. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, it's hard to believe, but it's MacVoices Gift Guide number 3 already. We're trying to get as many of these out as we can to you before the holiday shopping season, but if this doesn't make it, well, the holiday shopping season extends through the end of the year pretty much. So, but every year we try to get our friends together and let them give us some ideas of what they would like to give or get for the holidays, or maybe that they have given or have gotten for the holidays that they think you should be paying attention to. And of course, we have a few laughs along the way. So the rules are pretty simple. We do 4 rounds, 1 gift pick each round from each one of us. That gives you 16 gift picks for this particular show. And, hey, we put the show notes in or put the links, in the show notes for this show so you can go exactly to what our picks are. But we also publish those picks in the MacVoices magazine holiday gift guide that is on Flipboard. So go check that out for the picks from other panels. But let's get to this panel right now and see what kind of goodies there are, because it has become an annual sport for them to try to cost me money. And so far, every panel has succeeded. Let's see if I can resist the urge here. So first up, we haven't seen Brett Terpstra for a long time, but it's great to have him back. Brett, happy holidays.
Hey, you too. Good to be here.
I'm so glad you were able to make it. So glad you were able to make it.
Yeah, I was sick yesterday. Like, if you had scheduled this yesterday, I wouldn't have made it, but I'm feeling better. So it's great to be here.
Oh, good. Well, you look chipper, so that's great. That's great. Sporting a very holiday-ish background, Mr. Mark Fuccio. Mark, good to see you.
Hello, everyone.
I love the background, Mark. That looks really good. Although the one ball looks a little pixelated, but I think that's maybe just the design of it.
Yes.
So
it's the 8-bit ornament.
I like it. Last but absolutely not least, sporting a pair of antlers, I guess, just because, Patrice Brend'amour. Patrice.
Well, it's the holidays. I mean, it's the holiday gift guide. So I had to get my antlers and my Christmas earrings and everything. Like, of course. And I mean, you see my.
Yeah, I have a red shirt on, so that's as close as I get.
That counts. That does definitely count.
Oh my. Well, you guys know the rules. We explain them up front, and so we're just going to go to it, and I'm going to keep the order on my screen so I don't confuse myself. Brett, that gives you the first pick of this gift guide.
Okay. This is a pick with a sub pick, but my first pick is the Shift Cam Snap Grip, which it's like an attachment for your phone that makes it feel like a camera. So when you're doing iPhone photography, and honestly, like, why would you buy a digital camera at this point in history when the iPhone camera is so superb? Like, this just gives you the grip and the trigger, the finger trigger, to make it feel like a digital camera or any SLR, DSLR kind of camera. And it's a Bluetooth button that just basically triggers the volume up on your phone. The one that I'm suggesting has a MagSafe grip. And so it just magnetically attaches to your phone and it can rotate 90 degrees or any number of degrees. And it also functions as an iPhone stand. So you can set your camera up horizontally in portrait landscape mode on your table, and then hit the button and start recording video, which is great for people, podcasting or whatever. But as an alternative, I did want to mention that you can also get the Cap Grip 2. The Snap Grip is how many dollars is it? The Snap Grip is $70. But if you want a cheaper version, there's one called the Cap Grip. What did I'm messing up my words. I'm sorry. It's the first pick. You'll forgive me, right?
You're excited. You're excited.
Yeah. The Cap Grip is the alternative, and it is only $16 if you just want a clamp instead of a MagSafe attachment, and it doesn't function as the stand that the other one does. And there's a second version of that, which you'll see, which has a fill light built into it. I have not tested that version out. I've only tested the first version, the Shift Cam. And so I can't wholeheartedly recommend the Cap Grip, but the Shift Cam would make a great present for anyone who uses their phone for photography or for video and needs an on-the-go solution.
I like it. And you're right. The less expensive camera market is probably all but gone. I mean, I guess there are some circumstances where maybe you aren't allowed to take your phone in, and so you need a camera. But the cameras on the iPhones are now so much better than anything
even
that you're going to invest money in.
You can buy a $500-600 DSLR, and it won't top your iPhone. Like you have to spend some big money before you're actually getting better photos than your iPhone 15 can give you. So really turning your iPhone into an ideal DSLR is ideal.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
Good pick out of the gate. I like it. So that I'll put that on a wish list, but I'm not sure that's like an immediate I have to click through and buy right now. So Mark, what do you have for round one? Oh, thanks, Patrice. Thanks. What do you have for round one, Mark?
Okay, I just put it into the chat room. It's a device called the Flume Smart Home Water meter or monitor. Basically, what this is it's a device that you can put into your where your water meter is, and it senses the number of times the water meter spins, and it's Wi-Fi enabled, so it will connect to your home Wi-Fi network. And they have an app both for iOS, obviously, as well as Android. And what you can do with it is you can monitor your monthly water usage. The app has a number of displays where you can track daily usage per per hour and monthly usage and the things like that. And this is useful if you live in parts of state where they're concerned about water and water supply. So you can use this to monitor your consumption. We've been using it because we have a second home in a rural area of California where they're water challenged, and every other month we get a water bill, and it's always 4 units, and it's been that way for years until we got this device, and we're finding that we don't exceed the amount, but the minimum they charge is that same amount. So by using this, you're actually able to put and store the water that you use up to your threshold level. They also advertise sort of a leak detection service, so you can look to see if you're losing water, because if overnight typically you're not using water for anything, but if you're seeing that you have water flow, you obviously have a leak somewhere. And that's something you probably might want to be aware of and take action on. I've had this unit for a little over a year. It's gone up in price since then. Currently, it's $249 on Amazon. But check with your local water utility I know ours, had some deals directly, with Flume, the manufacturer, for $99. That was a number of years ago, but the idea is still that water utilities may be offering deals on devices like this, and certainly I think anybody in California or any listeners here in the Southwest, where we're in a drought area, that's probably anywhere from Texas over to California, up to Colorado, etc., might find this an interesting, product. It's a little big for being a stocking stuffer, but it is Wi-Fi enabled, and have fun.
If I can offer a quick alternative, move to Minnesota and get a rural house with a well.
Yeah.
And Brett just happens to have a house for sale, right? And so,
$249, you can have it.
Yeah. So, Mark, I'm intrigued by this because it says no plumbing, no wires, no cutting, no nothing. So does this just? I mean, how does it install? Does it clamp on over it, or?
Yes, it does, and it has a magnetic sensor, so it can sense the number of revolutions of.
Oh, interesting.
Of
that
the
is
valve in the water meter.
How does it get power?
It has a battery.
Okay, so it is battery. So you basically just take this app, drop it on, and you got it. That's
yeah, and you go through a setup in the app. You have to register, get an account, and you give the device the Wi-Fi credentials, and then you can connect to it and monitor.
And it specifically says subscription no longer required. So no subscription, no contracts, just water.
Yeah,
Very
I think
nice.
at one point, I think we never had the subscription because it didn't seem like it offered any value. But I think for a while there they were doing it, and I think obviously they seem to have gotten pushback, and now they're shouting far and wide that you just buy the device, you don't get locked into a subscription.
I like it. Good one. Real good one.
Yeah, this is interesting because I do have dreams of moving to California. So this would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe you can swap houses with Mark, and that way
there you go.
Benefit of Minnesota.
My house is great for like 3 weeks out of the year.
Okay, that's nice.
Pristine. It's amazing.
We can swap for 3 weeks.
There you go.
The 3 weeks of summer.
Patrice, what do you have for round one?
So for round one, I saw that someone else already picked the RAID I wanted to pick, but I'm gonna pick the hard drives that I have in my RAID here. So in my OWC RAID, I have Western Digital Gold hard drives. So most people might have heard of the red ones. Like everybody is talking about, if you have a NAS, you should get Western Digital Red and all of that. And Western Digital has basically this color system where you can pick depending on what type of usage you're looking for. Like, are you looking for like a hard drive for video recording for your like security system? That's probably gonna use this differently than like a NAS system, for example. And a lot of people talk about the red ones and say, you should buy them. But the thing is, Western Digital knows that, and the prices for the red ones are usually more they're higher and they're more expensive for lower specs. So if you're looking for good drives, this is like the gold ones is the enterprise drive. So that's what you would run in a data center. And they're at the 10 terabyte drives that I have are, on Amazon currently, normal price, no like discounts or whatever, $240. You can get up to 22 terabytes if you need. So this is the spinning type still, like the old school, if you need a lot of storage. That's like what I use for my NAS system or for my mini. But yeah, they're really good. They're supposed to run 2.5 million hours, which is more than enough. Like the average.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, forget that. I mean, it's 285 years if they run 24 hours a day. So forget that.
Do you use 10 terabyte disks in your nav?
Yeah,
Okay.
currently I balanced a little bit between what I really need and how much they cost and whatever, and 10 terabytes was the perfect size for it.
Right, because the consideration you have to make is if you bought the 22 terabyte drive for $550, if it ever fails, you have to replace it with a drive as big or bigger.
Correct.
So
Yes.
you're out another $550. So buying just what you need, buying the 10 terabyte, that's a great idea.
Yeah, exactly. As I said, and the Reds are currently about the same, or like 10 or $20 more. So it's as I said, for worse spec.
Sure,
so it's kind of weird. But yeah, so that's definitely a recommendation if you need, like, Western Digital, like over years and years and years, I've used them. I've seen like Backblaze, their drive statistics.
Yeah,
they're always up there. They're always up there in like reliability over time and failure rates and all of that. Doesn't mean yours will never fail.
Sure.
That's not how it works.
No guarantees.
No guarantees, but I mean, I've had once, I think, a failure, and Western Digital just replaced it. Because they have, and that's the other thing with the gold ones, they get like better warranties. So if a drive fails within, I think, 5 years, you get a replacement.
Wow.
So versus I think 3 years for the red ones. So you could just get a straight up replacement. And that happened, like, I want to say 10, 15 years ago, that happened to me once. And they like didn't even ask a question. They were like, oh yeah, fine. Just, we're going to send you a new one. Done.
And if you're running a drive like a Synology, you can just replace that drive and your data will be rewritten. No loss.
Exactly. That's what I'm doing. That's what is running in my OWC RAID. So it's a RAID.
Nice.
It's a RAID 1. So I'll just swap in a new drive.
Yep.
I've never heard anybody recommend gold drives, the gold model before. But you're right; it makes perfect sense if it's data center designed. And
well, I mean, it would depend on what you need. Like, I mean, for some people, if you're doing whatever the backup, the time machine backup that you plug in whatever once a month, you probably don't need a gold drive. Because, I mean, it's basically you're only writing, you're rarely ever reading anything from it, and you're plugging it once a month. So, like, I mean, get the cheaper ones. But if you're running a NAS or something, a Synology, like Mac Mini with like external storage, whatever you need, if it's running 24/7, probably look into the gold drives.
Yeah, I would add that, for all the listeners, that in general, don't cheap out on drives because, in addition, I mean, Patrice made a good point that this has a 5-year warranty. I believe the red drives are 3. One of the other not so well known things is the amount of testing that is done is much more extensive, in terms of amount and in terms of, their sample rates for enterprise class devices than consumer, level devices. So, that sounds good. The only thing, I'm really sad about is that, at that level, I would not run a RAID 5. I would always run a RAID 6. So, with the demise of Drobo, sort of forced into, sort of the larger, more expensive Synology and NAS devices. And I haven't found anything for DAS, direct attached storage solution that offers RAID 6 capability. So, RAID 6, RAID 6, the benefit of that, for reminder for the listeners is, you're protected against, 2 hard drive failures. And again, depending on the RAID controller, even if a drive doesn't fail, but if a couple sectors fail, it may not be able, it could be, you view that as a 2 drive failure. So, the way to protect that is, with the RAID 6, you have extra, error correction parity stripes available, to help do a recovery.
I would have to check I only have the 2-bay version of the Mercury Elite Pro. I would have to check what the 4-bay does. I bet it does RAID 6, to be honest.
No, good. No,
it doesn't. Okay.
No, the soft RAID only does mirroring, RAID 0, RAID 1, or RAID 10, where it mirrors stripe. or RAID 5, but it does not. They've on their website or in discussion forums for years they've been talking about a RAID 6 coming out, but I think I don't think that'll ever happen. I think the sun will go go supernova before they come out with it. And if anyone from AWC or Software is listening, get on the ball and up your game, because there's a big need out there for it.
So, Mark, how do you run a RAID 6 drive? What hardware would you recommend?
Oh, right. I would recommend one of the 8-bay Synology units.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Not a cheap gift pick.
Right.
No, but here we are. We're talking about data, and data is you back up, and then have multiple copies just to be sure. Or
again, Synology has a 4-drive unit. You could do it, with, say a 20 terabyte drive, but you're going to lose 2 of those drives for data protection. So it all depends on how much data you have that needs to be backed up.
Right. All right. So I'm going to do kind of a perennial favorite, just because there's some things that no matter how many years go by and how many times I pick them, they always seem to end up on my list of things that I think more people should have or can take advantage of. I'm guessing that at least 3 out of the 4 of the people here have it, and maybe all 4. And that is an Elgato Stream Deck. Now, my personal advice is don't cheap this one out, because I bought one. I think it was the 6 or 9 key, and almost right away I just had to have the 32, because once you get this, you find out how useful it is, and you want to just keep on adding things to it. Basically, what it is, it's a small panel of buttons that you can assign all kind of different things to each button: hotkeys, shortcuts. In my case, I use a lot of it for Final Cut. Which one is that, Brett?
That's the Stream Deck Plus.
That's the new one.
With knobs, with dials.
Okay. You got the new one. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's it. They keep doing iterations and improvements, but just the idea that I have 32 keys at my command. Did it 32 or 30? Yeah, 32. To put macros on. I use it in the production of MacVoices to store titles and transitions and assets that I use constantly, as opposed to having to go into the Final Cut library, find it, drag it over, and all that. One button after I've assigned it, and it's done. It's there. So once you do this, you will find so many uses for it. This is like a different kind of entree into automation, because we're all talking about shortcuts and everything, but it's even easier to, once you create those shortcuts, just have a button, one single button to hit and go.
That's always the question. How do you trigger the shortcut? You need something that triggers it, and that's the Stream Deck. Yeah.
And each button is illuminated. You can assign a color to it. You can assign text to it. You can assign little graphics to it. They do make a button utility to create those. The buttons can have gradients. I mean, you can get a little bit crazy if you want to, but at the end of the day, there are good reasons that a lot of control surfaces have different colored buttons, because they control different things. And it's a whole lot easier to go over and say, okay, here are all the titles, here are all the transitions, or here's my shortcut for, I don't know, doing whatever, or my shortcuts for doing whatever. So yeah, this is one of those that I promise you will not regret. You may feel like it's a little intimidating at first. Just assign your first button or 2 and you'll be off to the races.
I have a tip that will make this gift pick even better.
Go.
So I have a 15 key Stream Deck, a 6 key Stream Deck, and the Stream Deck Plus with 8 keys and 4 knobs. I can, on my 15 key Stream Deck, I can hit a button and change the profile on my Mini with the 6 keys. So the 6 keys for most of my apps, all I need is 6 keys. But I can change what 6 keys are visible using my 15 key pad. So you can control Stream Decks from other Stream Decks. So having one that is like a launch center. So if someone on your gift list already has a Stream Deck, you can get them a different Stream Deck and multiply. If they have a 15 key Stream Deck, multiply that by 6. I don't do math well, but multiply that by 6 and you've got that many more buttons to work with. And it works really well. I do it every day.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't need two. Like as Brett said, if someone already has one, get them a second one. Fine. But if they don't have one, you don't need to buy two. Because I mean, you can control what the Stream Deck shows just by the app.
Yes. Yeah. I have found that fallible. I prefer to have like a hard-coded switch for what my Stream Deck Mini shows, because I'll switch to an app. I have it set up for Zoom. I have the 6 keys set up for Zoom, but I don't stay on Zoom when I'm on a Zoom call. I'm switching between apps. So all of a sudden, all my Zoom buttons disappear. So if I have that hard-coded and I can set the 6 key to be just Zoom controls, and then I can switch to any other app I need to. I can switch my browser. I can switch my Notes app. And like my Zoom buttons, I can still mute my Zoom call with the Stream Deck Mini. I have found that preferable to app-triggered profile switches.
For sure. Like how I fixed that was I have basically on the default, you can have a default set. There's a Zoom button that basically brings Zoom to the foreground, and then it switches to the Zoom button.
Yep, so that makes sense.
That's the way you can do it. If you only have one.
You can get away with one. I recommend 3 or 4.
I did not know that, Brett, and now I wish I didn't know it, because I can envision exactly. Now that you tell me that, I can envision exactly how that would be useful.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. You can do things like you have 2 shortcuts. One is to enable something, and one is to disable something, and the same button can trigger either or. You basically tracking the state.
Key on off. Yep.
Yeah, stuff like that. So it's really, really, really helpful. I use it all day, every day. It's really cool.
Wow. I think I just cost myself money thanks to your assistance.
Because you don't have it yet, I will tell you the Stream Deck Plus, if you have the Wave XLR from Elgato, or you use any of their Keylight app attachments, hardware, the knobs on the Stream Deck Plus can control any of your audio inputs, outputs, lighting, all with dials that you can just like crank, like the warmness of your light or the brightness or the mic input, mic output. Like, it's super handy. I love it.
Let's go to round 2 before you talk to me. It's getting worse, Brett, not better. So what do you have for round 2?
Wow. All right. So I'm torn between 2 options. I'm going to go with the Kasa Smart Mini Plug. It's just a smart home little plug-in interface that gives you a hardware switch. So for me, for the holidays, Christmas lights, turning them on and off requires plugging and unplugging a plug. They don't have their own switch. So I love these things because at the outlet, they give me a hardware switch, which is also controllable by my iPhone. So I can turn on and off my Christmas lights. And I know there are 100 solutions for doing this, but these things are $35 for a 4-pack. And cheap. Yeah, and at the outlet, instead of plugging and unplugging, you have a little button you can press, hardware, to turn your lights on and off, which I will admit, like about 80% of the time, that's what I do, is just go and I press the button. But the other 20% of the time, before I go to bed, I can just load up on my iPhone and turn off all the Christmas lights. And this, well, throughout the year, even after the Christmas lights are gone, anything that you ever have to plug or unplug, it's indispensable.
I agree with it. I mean, things, the HomeKit, excuse me, the home automation stuff is now becoming so much more affordable with some of the different brands that are just as reliable as some of the legacy or original brands.
Yeah.
And Kasa is definitely one that I've had some good luck with. So
and this one is HomeKit and Alexa and Google Home certified. So it works with whatever you've got.
That's cool.
Very nice. Very nice. Mark, what do you have for round 2?
Okay, this is a storage device. It's Samsung USB-C connected, 256 gigabyte flash drive. It's available at Amazon. They have smaller capacities, but why would you bother? Because we all know that we use and fill up all sorts of storage space that you have available. The beauty of this is it's fast and it's relatively small. So I've used one just to carry a bunch of movies and things on on vacation trips. And the other thing is I have another one that should be being delivered today that I'm planning to use this as an additional time machine backup device. It's small enough, you just can plug it in and leave it attached there. Depending on how much data you have, you might want to go into time machine settings so that you only limit it to the most actively changing and updating data. It probably means excluding maybe movie files or video library or music, but keep everything in desktop. Downloads, documents, and probably also your library, because that's where a lot of application settings are hidden. So it goes on to sale time to time. So I think currently it's about $25. So not a bad price.
Mark, I think you're old enough to remember when a 10 megabyte hard drive costs $1,000 and required a fan. And this thing is tiny. And for $24, you could. I'm so old. I know I'm so. But
I was thinking the same thing. I'm not as old as you, but I was thinking, wow, I remember the 64 megabyte sticks, and I was like, wow, that was expensive. And yours 256 gigabyte.
Right.
Nothing.
This is basically disposable storage. That's amazing.
Right. And I have an accessory to go with this in my next round pick, but
great.
It is a very much a cool device.
I mean, Mark, the only problem I see with this is that the darn thing is so small that it would be so easy to misplace. Which is a nice problem to have.
Leave it.
Chuck, stick an AirTag to it.
Or leave it plugged into your Mac, unless you have to transport it from place to place a lot.
This is small enough to get lost among your pocket change for sure.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. But the idea of 200, and they show it in one of the graphics with it, that you could obviously also, because it's USB-C, plug this into your iPad, not just to your Mac.
Yes.
So, oh man. Okay. I'll wait to see what he comes up with next round.
Okay, are you going to send me a bill, Chuck?
I probably should. Let's see. Patrice, round 2.
So since Brett picked something smart home, I thought I would switch it around and pick my smart home thing as well. So I don't know how many of these. Those are the Nanoleaf Essential Matter light strips. My entire apartment basically runs on them. Except for those 2 spots up here, I don't think I use anything else. Oh, okay, maybe in the bathroom I think I have a light. But everything else in the apartment is basically these light strips. They're the new versions are Matter compatible, so they should run with whatever system you have, Alexa, Google Home, HomeKit, whatever. I recommend getting there's a 5 meter, 16 feet version, which costs $15 more. It basically is the main light strip and then 2 extensions. And I always buy that because it gives you the best flexibility, and you can combine them. Like you can buy like a shorter version, and then you have an extension from like another pack that you bought, and just stick it to it. They're really good. They're really, really bright. The app is not terrible. It's not like, sometimes those apps can be. The Philips one isn't great either, so there's that. But they have like a really good library of what they call scenes. I think provided by the community, which is like it's little things you can program your light strips with. So I have one that basically cycles through certain colors and seems to simulate like the aurora borealis, for example, stuff like that. So you can do fun stuff with it. The colors are quite good. I have them behind me, so you can see, like, I think you can see a little bit purple still in the background. They're really bright. So it's the brightest ones I found in light strip form, and I just stick them to the floorboard. That's it.
You guys catch me up. Is Matter HomeKit compatible yet, or do you have to get the Apple Home version?
Because
the whole point of Matter was to make like a universal protocol, right? Is it HomeKit compatible?
Basically. It basically bridges. So it's like you can use all your HomeKit stuff with Matter in one ecosystem, or you can use your Matter stuff in HomeKit. So I have both in my home. Like I have stuff that is HomeKit only. I have stuff that's Matter only. But through the HomePod minis or the Apple TVs or whatever you have, it basically just runs together. It doesn't care.
Okay.
Yeah, you can some manufacturers even allow you to upgrade. So you can basically install a new firmware and then it's Matter. So
nice.
It doesn't matter.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, they still sell the HomeKit version if you want, but I would just go for Matter because it's simply more flexible.
Yeah, that seems legit.
So first of all, Nanoleaf is, I mean, they're one of the 2 or 3 companies you want to go to for these kind of things.
Yes.
But Patrice, you say you lay them out just along the floorboard. I mean, you obviously don't just lay them out because they tend to curl. So do you have anything? Do you put them down against the floor or the carpet and use adhesive of any kind, or how do you?
There's adhesive on the back. Right. So I have it differently. So behind me here, there's this what are they called? Like the little wooden strips along the wall. What they're called?
Baseboard.
Yeah, something like that.
Baseboard?
So a baseboard. So they have adhesive strips on the back, and you could just put it on the baseboard. I have put them on like just a 10 feet wooden like slat that I had lying around. I just put that on the back of my bed, for example, and just put that on top. You can nail them, like you can buy nails that basically, or clamps that go around them, and just nail them down if you want to, I don't know, attach them to your ceiling or whatever. So they're quite flexible. They're good quality, quite flexible. I mean, my robot vacuum drove over them quite a few times and just survived that somehow, which I definitely do not recommend doing, but still, they have survived so far.
Well, and I like the idea that you said that you can add different lengths to them. So that's huge, because some of the cheap ones you can buy and you can cut, and but then you've wasted all of that because there's really no provision to reconnect. Yeah,
you can cut these too, and I've seen online that some people figured out how to attach them again. So I think you can just solder that or something. I don't know. I've never tried that. But you can extend them. There's a maximum length that I think the power brick supports. It's just a power question. But I mean, I think I have like 8 meters, 5 meters, somewhere. I think somewhere between 5 and 8 meters in my living room, and it's not a problem.
Okay.
I have 2, like in my living room. I have one on the sofa on the back, and one like right under the projection screen. So it's quite useful.
Yeah, and I've got upstairs. I've got some of the Matter, the elements, the original Element, that are just the squares, but they are just. First of all, they're fun to play with, but they also, I mean, if you need some supplemental lighting, they're phenomenal. So. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I've thought about I've thought about replacing the two LED panels I have here in front of me with them, because that would be fun.
And you could get every color in the rainbow out of them.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, exactly. And as I said, like there's an app that's decent, but you can also just control them through whatever system you have. Works quite well. And that's maybe important. They're using Thread. That was one of the reasons why I bought them. So there used to be a problem with Apple and Thread like a couple of years ago, but where there was some delay between like the command and something happening, but that got fixed by Apple. So that was an Apple problem, not a Nanoleaf problem.
Good. Okay. Nicely done. Since this has kind of turned into the home automation round, I've played with smart bulbs now for a while, and I really like the Philips Hue because the colors are rich and they look great. But the trouble is they're pretty darned expensive too. So I got a pack of these Miros. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Oh yeah,
the smart bulbs. They are HomeKit and Alexa compatible, and they look just as good for my uses. And they're a whole heck of a lot cheaper because I think the pack that I will have linked in the show notes has four for $54, which is a whole lot less expensive than what I've been able to find the Philips Hues for. So the Philips Hues are great, taking nothing from them, but depending on what your use case is or how sophisticated you want to get, take a look at this one or these, and you may be very, very pleasantly surprised, especially given the fact that they too work with the Apple system as well as the Amazon system.
Just added to my shopping cart.
You're welcome.
You have paid me back by costing me money.
The Miro stuff is good. Their app is not great, but you fortunately don't need to use it very often. Like, it's basically, you can use it to update whenever there's a firmware update, and everything else you do through like HomeKit or whatever.
Yeah, so, I love Govee products, and the problem with them is they're not compatible with HomeKit. So I have to use the Govee apps, which by and large works out fine for me for the automations I set up. And they're super cheap compared to like Hue, for example. But a HomeKit compatible smart 256 color LED or light bulb, I'm in.
Yeah.
Mirrors is great.
And I would value everybody's advice here to see if you agree with me. But if you are just getting started with some of these toys for home automation, really don't try to figure out which system you're going to use the most.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably going to be the Apple system or the Amazon system. If you can do both, great, because then you've got a backup for if things get a little wonky. But make sure that you pay attention to what is and isn't, and don't cheap it out and just go with something that is a knockoff, no name that runs on its own app and doesn't comply with
100%
and sends all your data to China.
Well, not just that part, but just the fact that,
just compatibility.
I've got 25 apps I have to open to manipulate my lights or my locks or whatever.
Yeah.
And I know it's a first world problem, but it is a first world problem.
Yeah. So I have a bunch of legacy lights running on Insteon protocol, which used to be kind of like a big standard, but has kind of faded. And then I have other stuff running on a Zigbee protocol. And now I have new stuff that is basically HomeKit and Alexa compatible. I haven't gotten into Matter yet. And I'm really hoping Matter appliances will solve all my issues. But right now I have to run all kinds of crazy software on my basement Mac Mini in order to make all of these controllable from one source. So pick an ecosystem. If you have an Alexa, if you have a HomePod, like if you have an iPhone, however you want to control this stuff, pick an ecosystem and buy devices specifically compatible with whatever automation system you want to use.
Yeah, for sure. I would highly recommend looking for Matter over Thread. Because Matter gives you the flexibility of the Matter protocol, so it works with everything. And Thread is a really good network to have, because then you don't need those competing Zigbee, Z-Wave, Wi-Fi,
right.
Bluetooth, like all the different standards. It's basically just like it's kind of like your Wi-Fi at home, but it's a mesh network. It's a specific mesh network. So you can get to the corner. Like if you set up all your devices and you have multiple of them, you can get to every corner of your like building or apartment or wherever you are, because they just relay the information from point to point, and that makes it so much easier.
Nice.
This panel is back next time to finish up MacVoices Holiday Gift Guide number 3 and cost you money or give you great picks. Depends on your point of view. I'm Chuck Joyner. I'll see you next time on MacVoices. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices each month. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.